At any point, if there's anything you want us to explain or show you, we do have lots of things with us, so feel free to have a look. I'm Marie-Claire, I'm a primary 5 teacher at Mearns Primary School, previously taught primary 6 and 7, a wee bit of 4 and back to 5. And I do have a background in technology and business a long time ago, so I think the kind of coding and computational thinking aspect of our curriculum really started to appeal to me because you could link it in so many different aspects as well. You'll see here that we have a bespoke curriculum, and our head teacher, Sharon Hunter, is here, so she can speak a little bit more about that. That's our Mearns Masters approach to lots of different areas of technologies and other parts of the curriculum. We kind of have a particular passion for the computer science pathway or the coding pathway, and hopefully this will show you some of the things we've got going on from nursery to P7, and even just how they change every year. Ben and I spoke, and thank you for coming along to see us again.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming back.
Can't
have been that bad the first time.
When we spoke 2 years ago at the JP Morgan event, so there'll be some similar slides to begin with, but hopefully a few more kind of ideas of what's been happening since. So, and Michael and Ben, hopefully just at any point if there's anything that you can add to my P5 bit. This is the video. It doesn't seem to have sound. We did play it before, but if I find a solution to that before the end of the event, we'll play it. It did give an overview of the kind of different things that were going on from P1 up to P7. So these are just a flavour of some of the activities, even since these photos were taken. That was 2 years ago. There's been another 2 years of Mearns Masters, and each year, because it is a progressive kind of approach to coding and computational thinking, computer science, I think we all agree as practitioners, we see year on year the children are coming to us with just that extra layer of skill, confidence, and just creativity. So the fact that we are able to see that year on year is just hopefully testament to the way that it's embedded within the school. Some of the early years is not my forte, so I know that some of the children, the kind of things they've been doing in P1, as you can see there, is just giving them that opportunity to engage with physical computing. And I know, Michael, that you might have seen a little bit more in the kind of early years.
Yeah, so I mean, as Michael said, like this has been a kind of couple of years ago. This is maybe moving on from things such as like B-bots and things like that we traditionally used to have in the classroom, and moving on to more kind of robots and things like that, so such as Marty. So we've brought along a floor book from one of the primary ones who have kind of went along, had a bit of a go at Marty, looking at the kind of colour box and things like that, and kind of using that as part of their play as well within our classroom. We've got our own room called the Digiverse in school, which is where when the children are undertaking this coders pathway, they go along and visit the Digiverse kind of throughout the week. As we're moving on into primary 2, I suppose it's kind of more into the kind of early coding with Scratch Junior. Some children are tying it in. We kind of pride ourselves with a lot of interdisciplinary links across the curriculum with literacy. So you can see on this one there, they've used their coding skills to create a project based on the BFG book, which was a kind of imaginative story, and there's some other case studies and things like that over there where primary 4 have turned their informative writing into things as well. So.
Apologies for this, the text being small. We've taken this from a lot of the teachers' kind of evidence of their case studies. So these have been, as I said, even the last 2 years, they've kind of really changed and become floor book based, journal based, jotter based, lots of different ways of that kind of different means of expression. Again, as Michael said, that moved towards kind of Scratch Junior. When I had primary 4, that was the kind of level they were coming in with, so they were familiar with this, a lot of the concepts and the computational thinking in Scratch Junior, and then I was taking them on to full Scratch, as they called it. And they were going from that linear left to right to then building a piece of code where you've got so many more tools in your toolbox, and then you were able to build up like so many more kind of almost like parallel aspects of it as well. This is my class from a couple of, well actually a few years ago. This class were awesome. Many of those girls that you see there, and kind of coming back to the gender gap as well, went on to be part of dress code, and that's the kind of club that we're doing in school, obviously inspired by Tony and her. Many of the girls from St Ninians as well, they were just awesome. Those girls are now primary, or they're now S1, and the quality of work they were producing and the way that they were thinking even at primary 4 just absolutely blew my mind. They were just awesome. You can see they took a storybook that we were doing, which they were very keen on kind of plastic pollution. We linked a lot, and you'll hear from Ben as well, we tried to link many of our design problems, because it does start with a problem, and it could be a problem within school, your daily life, your wider community, or a global context. Can we identify a problem that's worrying us or that we're hearing a lot about and come up with some solutions or a solution using code or games or storyboards and so on. So you can see this started from a book, and as Michael said, really made such a strong link with the book called Ducks Overboard. It was all about plastic pollution and the real life story of ducks that fell overboard many years ago and have now travelled around the world but are helping oceanographers. So they took this and they turned it into an animation where they retold the story. And even going into, these were my children from primary 5 last year. You can see just how it's changing year on year. We are also digital leaders, so that became a new role for my class. So we were trying to find a way of linking our digital leaders, encouraging other classes to become more responsible and aware when they're online. Again, I know that the text is very small, but it's there if you want to read more of the background, if I've not covered it. We, as part of our pupil parliament, we were kind of promoting safer internet kind of skills, and the children used Scratch to create a Power Up Your Passwords game. We watched a live lesson with the BBC. Live lessons are amazing. And this was all about being a scam smasher. So they were taking the lessons they were learning through their talking and listening and said, well, we know how to create a secure passwords, but how do we get younger children to create secure passwords for Glow and so on? So they developed games and animations to do that. That class that I'm talking about there was a very wide range of needs in that class, and even our boy at the bottom right hand corner, visually impaired boy, he really engaged through the kind of talking and listening element. He's listening, he's still collaborating, he's still giving ideas to his group, and they're just kind of, it just became a really inclusive kind of way of teaching, not only coding but just kind of responsible internet use as well. We did take part in a Scratch code along for Cyber Scotland with Education Scotland, so if Brian's around I'll maybe say we really enjoyed it. It was tricky, it was challenging, and it was all part of like linking your passwords to those 3 strong words. This is my current class, again coming back to that idea that Mearns Masters really promotes a problem-based kind of learning approach and identifying the problem. We've done a lot of work this year on the zones of regulation, and when it comes to kind of giving children strategies to regulate their emotions, identify which zone they're in. Are they in the blue zone because they're feeling low or grumpy or tired? Are they feeling a bit fizzy, a wee bit giddy when they're coming in? Have they fallen out with their pals at playtime and they're looking for a way to kind of find strategies, or are they in the red zone? So we did a lot of work through health and wellbeing, and then the children decided, well, that is a new problem for us. How can we help the children in our school if they are identifying that they're in a particular zone of regulation? How can we design a game, a story, or an application that would help them get back in the green zone? So you can see some of the things that they were into. A lot of capybaras, it seems to be this year. But I love that. It's almost like they're going round without even realising that they're going down, designing a therapist type role. They are designing something that offers some kind of interaction with the user, whether it's just stroking or taking care of your capybara, or whether it is, there's another one, it was all about a kitten and kind of choosing stuff from the shop for the kitten. So it really gave them a chance to kind of obviously take their own likes and dislikes and lead their own learning. You can see someone's designed a glitter jar. It's all calming music, it's just really simple codes. Just shake the jar and all the glitter settles, and it teaches you to breathe and do all the different kind of breathing exercises as well. This is all completely pupil-led. The only kind of input that I really had was kind of helping them define the problem and talking to them about some of the things that they could create. Some of them are simple balloon pop games, some of them are mindfulness colouring, some of them really going into what emotion are you But this one I really liked. This girl, Shannon, you'll know, she is an absolute star, and she has designed an emotional support assistant. And you can see, even I didn't have to. I just went over, when it comes to the Scratch community, you need to give the user the instructions, you know, like what to do, but also if you've worked with others, if you've collaborated, you need to credit them. And also, I love the fact, without me even telling her, she's linked it to a lot of the discussions we were having on children's rights at that time. So obviously I can share the link at another point, but instead of showing how it works directly just now, I can come back to that. It's just a really simple, but basically a way of getting the user to speak and kind of, I'm feeling sad about this, and she has designed it so cleverly where it doesn't need a specific input, like before she has chosen even the questions and the responses, she's done it so well that it makes you feel like you are talking to an emotional support assistant. I don't know if that's a Turing test of some description. Does it pass? But yeah, this is, I can come back to that because I'm conscious of time. We had a parental showcase recently where it was giving parents an opportunity to come in, and this was an unplugged lesson, and it was all based on cryptography. We linked to history and Mary Queen of Scots and her ciphers, and they were creating Caesar wheels and kind of cracking codes. So it was really nice to see that just parents working alongside their children, and both of them learning kind of from each other. We had a lot of fun because it was a wee bit competitive. And as you can see here, the children wanted to keep going. They said, that was really fun. Can we make secret codes for each other? Can we write out questions for each other? So yeah, we just let it go. I suppose that is the beauty of primary, that you can give it that wee bit of extra time and continue it after playtime. Again, P6 will have moved on since this. This was our colleague Colin's class at the time. A lot of work on kind of gaming and what makes a fun game, what makes a challenging game, and can you kind of apply that to a coding context. So theirs was very much game based, as you can start to see from their storyboarding and the code that they're starting to create. It's really starting to hit lots of those things that we're hoping for at second level. I'm stopping at P6 there because Ben has got some awesome stuff to share from his P7s.
Cool. Mine is very much over here, so I will be moving around and showing you things if that's all right. I'm not really screen-based. In Primary 7, what I did find quite a lot of the time when I first started, it was very much Scratch. And as you can see, like all the way through, it was very much Scratch. And that's what I remember doing at high school. I remember doing it almost at the level that they were doing it, which I was quite surprised at. I wasn't amazing at it. But I came in and I just thought, I was like, this is interesting that you're already here by going through this kind of level of detail in the early years as we've been going in. That was 4 years ago. But in the last couple of years, the kids have come up to me and said, well, I don't want to do Scratch again. I don't want to make a game again, which I was like, fine, we'll do something different. And we were lucky enough to get in the Lego Spike kits, which I think are a complete godsend. I love those things so much, just because I really like doing things with my hands. Like, I need to build something, I need to have something in front of me, I need to see it. And I love coding too, but I like seeing the tangible effect of it, seeing it move, seeing it do something. And I think a lot of children do too. I think that's why we sell so much Lego, to be honest with you.
I've spent a lot on Lego.
So have I. But I think from what we've done, it's more of a project-based learning approach in Primary 7. So we moved into kind of making robots and responding to the global goals. So for the past couple of years, that's kind of what I've been doing, if you want that. And another one for yourself, Ben, if you have a look. Essentially, what we've been doing is moving into kind of answering a problem. That's what Marie-Claire was talking about earlier, what Michael was saying as well. It is all this kind of, what is the issue that we're trying to solve? And what I've found is, perhaps, and I think that's what the speaker before us was saying about how there is maybe some children that won't get everything, and that's okay. And they might not get every aspect of the knowledge before they go up, if that's what they're going up to learn. And we're trying our best to instill as many things as possible into that kind of second level before they do that. But it's also important that they tinker and they have fun at the level that they're at too. So what we'll see in these kind of different guides is that they are working on a lot of robots and making a robot to solve the problem. And some of it is all related to the global goals. So what I've been doing is giving them a global goal to go against, and they are basically had to try and solve a problem related to that. And they've came up with lots of different solutions over the years and lots of different interesting designs. So we've had things such as litter picker robots. We've had things that are working under the sea. We have had, for some reason, they really think that we're going to have to have self-driving automated robots that are going to deliver our jotters, because apparently I'm too stressed out, was what was said to me. We're sick of handing jotters out, was another one. But I think it's really important that they get to kind of have that approach and have fun and tinker with different aspects of computing. So for the first 3 weeks, we usually do it in a 6-week kind of program. So for the first 3 weeks, I have just let them tinker and play. So week 1, we would look at Marty the robot, and we'd give them a little bit of a chance to mess around. I don't want to say the words mess around because it seems unprofessional, but in a way, it does work. It is kind of tinkering and having fun with your kind of group. Then in week 2, we looked at microbits, and we did a few of the lessons, and that kind of let me then lead into teaching aspects such as variables. So I've done these this year as well. Sorry if I'm talking 100 miles an hour. But we did little kind of journals this year for everyone to kind of take down their notes, some code and some aspects that they think is important for their learning. And then I was able to go back and have conversations with them. So there's Zaria's taking down her rock, paper, scissors from microbits. But at the same time, that was allowed me to then talk about variables. It allowed me to talk about speed and movement with her, and for her to actually have a baseline that she'd drawn into her jotter that she'd used from her code. So it was really personal to her, which I've found has actually been really, really beneficial in using these, because everyone's kind of been taking it down their own way. And I've not been forcing how it's done. I've just been forcing maybe this is what we're going to do today, this is what we're going to look like, but everyone's kind of taking their own kind of spin on it. So they're not as stressed about the kind of, it has to be perfect, but they need to be able to talk about it. And I think when they take some sort of ownership over like that, and they've got some sort of creative process, they are then able to kind of discuss it a lot better with you and be a lot more, I'd say a lot deeper in the way that they talk to you about it. That then led to weeks 4 to 6, where we moved into kind of picking their own project. But funnily enough, in week 3, we let them have a shot of Lego Spike. And what I like to do, which is probably not a good thing, is take some bits out, take some problems, create a wee bit of chaos in the room, and just say, what was the problem? And number one problem all the time is communication. They're not very good at working with people. And I think a lot of the time they always say, well, I just want to sit, and I can sit on my, one of them said, I want to sit on my laptop and I'll code my piece and that's it, done, because I know it's working. I was like, but when we move into kind of the real world, you are going to have to work with other people, and you're going to have to work in businesses with people on a project that you will need to interact. Perhaps not as much as we do on a daily basis, or especially being teachers, but I would say for them, it was understand that process a little bit early, as you cannot just work individually all the time. You need to work in a group too. And funnily enough, the big thing was always just communication. We cannot work together. And then that's when I tell them that you were missing this piece and that piece, and everyone kind of hits the nut. But then once we get into weeks 4 to 6, the booklets that I give them let them set their own success criteria, their own learning intentions, and things like, sorry, not learning intentions, their own success criteria and their own kind of meta skill focuses. And it's always communication and adaptability that keep coming up. Sense making is obviously there because we talk more about that, but it's interesting to me, it's always adaptability, it's always communication, and creativity comes in there too. But I think communication comes from that. They see it not working and they go, right, how could we solve it? And then suddenly they don't want to work with their friends. They want the groups, want you to pick the groups for them, and they're a bit more focused at that stage. And that then led me to then making the kind of designs that we came up with there. And I've done it differently year on year, but I think for here, there is examples there. They also talk about things like the constraints and kind of what problem will you solve? So they have to define their problem, but they also need to tell me what are your constraints. And a lot of them say, well, we've only got 3 hours, and they work it out. They go, we have 3 hours at this point, we've got maybe an hour at this point, and they start thinking almost business-like in a way, because they're like, oh, I've only got this amount of time, I've only got this amount of time. And it's really interesting to see it all kind of come to a play. And then they basically try and answer the global goal. And that's they spend the 3 weeks doing that, but they write down everything they were doing. So they draw out their prototypes every single week, and we're able to then circulate that room a lot more, I would say, comfortably, and have conversations. And then for our showcase, which you saw, was more, we just looked around and we had different classes coming through. They were rating each robot on its kind of aesthetics, its function, and did it solve the problem it set out to solve. So they had to have the language ready to go, basically. And I think a big part of that is also instilling, yes, coding language, but also language about how to answer a problem and how to answer a problem with other people, not just on your own. So I think that's a really important way of looking at it. So feel free to read through them and see what they've done. There's some amazing things they've came up with. Automatic sharpener, I still love that. And I know we have them, but there's nothing better than making your own and having it up the back of the classroom until someone needs a Lego spike kit back. But things like that, and I think they take a lot of ownership from it. So we're here if you need anything answered, but I hope that makes sense.
As Ben says as well, the fact that we're talking about meta skills now kind of year on year, and the fact that communication comes up in coding, but then it also comes up in design. So we do have 4 pathways. Coding is just one of them. We have designers, campaigners, and gastronomers as well. And I also love when some of the pathways start to converge. So for example, a couple of years ago, when we were doing designers, we were talking about, we can't find, the problem we identified was we can't find like vests for PE. We need 12 for our team and we can't always find them. And we would like to organise our teams into house groups and we don't have the colours. So then we talked about, well, why not code a digital badge that we can reprogram each time? And we just applied a wee bit. So in designers, we were doing a textiles theme, so they were starting to develop sewing skills. But then this team coded a wee digital badge, and she just put her name on it, on a school polo shirt here. With and this is very primitive, as you can see. And it was all about kind of, well, how do we get the battery pack to kind of stay out of the way because it needs power? But the fact, how do we leave the part that we can plug into a Chromebook and recode it? So for example, that's just someone's name. So she was saying, yeah, I can go down and people, if they're coming into the school as visitors, then they know my name, but then I can recode that to show my house symbol, and I can have that always on so it's not just scrolling across. So we're all in Beach and we're all in Maple and we can play, I mean, obviously, I'm not sure the safety behind a microbit whilst doing PE, but the idea or the kind of thinking behind it. So I really love when the kind of different pathways of Mearns Masters start to kind of converge, even with campaigners as well. That's where that kind of bigger goals, like kind of global goals, kind of environmental issues, if you start to bring them into your coding as well. I'll let you have a wee look around at some of our stuff. I've got some jotters here as well.
No, I was going to say I've also got some photos and things on the iPad, and it can lead on very, very beautifully from what Mary Claire was just talking about. One of our primary 6 classes this year as well have been looking at the global goal of hunger, and they've been looking at, their campaign was about working with the food bank. And then we've got our own food bank in the school, and then they've, through coders, have actually managed to code microbits to create a stock system, so that they can see when items are getting low. So if someone takes something, they then press the button, it then takes it away from it. And then through designers, they're now looking at kind of sewing blankets for homeless people and stuff as well. So it's very much a holistic approach across the whole curriculum, although it's the 4 pathways, the kind of natural links that the children meet when they start to kind of weave in between each other. It's beautiful to see, but yeah, it's so nice and reassuring that we're raising these kids to do some good in the world as well.
Sorry.
It's that real world context stuff that you guys like, actual world things.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've always pushed for, is a real world context. Otherwise it doesn't make sense to them, and they won't want to take it up. We want them to continue, and we want to close the gender gap, and we want more of it. And that's what I've really enjoyed this year with the journals, especially, is being able to have a conversation with everyone about their process and not just maybe more generalised. I can talk to them all because they've all got one, and they've all done it in their own way, and it's just a really nice way of talking to them as well.
And the gender gap thing, because obviously I'm involved with dress code as well, I really love seeing when you go from that mixed class setting to then the kind of lunchtime club, and the girls all those girls that were in those slides as well, just really quiet girls, but then they started to talk about, like, and again, as you say, the context, the minute you gave a humanitarian context or an environmental context, then the coding just came to life for them. And yeah, that's the bit that's really nice to see, that they want to make a change, and they can absolutely see that coding and computer science can help them to drive that in the future, and we want them to pick computer science when they go to high school as well.
We actually had
questions from you guys.
sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry, if they've got any questions.
Has anything bubbled up that you guys have to ask?
We will be back, I think, for a session.
one of the things that sometimes I teach all ICT, but before all of our teachers did their own computing science, and one of we always found that computing science was the one that teachers would be scared of because of the language and so on. I'm so impressed by, I'll just go back to one of the examples, the P, you know, your P5, you were giving them all see, all of this, I'm thinking from, we might be putting computer science back into classes for the teachers to do as well in a more interdisciplinary way. Some of our teachers, I think, would be really worried, not worried so much that the kids couldn't come up with the ideas for that, but what if, you know, they wanted to create that wonderful glitter jar, for example. How do you teach them how to do all these different games?
So,
or is that just coming through your programme because you've been doing it for so long? From
I think you're on here, but also what I love seeing is that there are children who will go away after the day, and they will go onto the Scratch community, they'll remix other projects, they'll take, and I'm very much into coding is such a collaborative thing now, even in the Scratch community. If you see someone else has got a glitter jar, you're not going to copy it kind of completely, but see inside, click see inside, and then you've got ones that will totally just kind of embody that, come in the next day, and I've always had lanyards with microbits that they've coded themselves to say ask me for help, and it becomes like the holy grail when you're like, I genuinely don't know how to solve that.
I've been doing it for 4 years and sometimes they come up with things.
But it's feeling confident enough to say, now I'm the teacher here and I genuinely don't know how to solve that, but you have done something similar before, could anyone come up with a solution, and it becomes that lovely paired kind of programming or collaborative.
I've not thought of that because we've used the Scratch tutorials, but maybe not looked at remix.
We had one the other day. I was going to say the one we're now got to the point where our children are now like, she was telling me that I'm copying her code, but actually I was just backpacking. So like, this is great. So actually, this is what we're kind of getting across. So it's really nice to have that problem, but definitely.
But to a certain extent, it's short. I mean, you're just getting them to do enough of it that they're starting just to get the skills become more.
And also like that debugging that was mentioned before, like getting trial and error.
I think with debugging, that was one of the massive things in P7. Sometimes they do things and I'm looking at them like, I have no idea how you've managed to do that, and I also have no idea where your bug is. But it's actually really nice, like you're saying, you've got your coding superstars, and we do that as well, and they walk around the room, and if there is a problem, sometimes we put it on the big screen, and we all sit and go through and find the bugs. And I think just finding the bugs, and then moving into, for example, we do designers next, and they had to bring armor to action. They had to find a historical flaw in my class, and it was really nice to see. They were like, it's like a bug. I was like, yeah, it's a bug. It's the same, we're just doing the same thing, but in a different context. Again, like you were saying about context, I think that's the biggest way to do it. I think debugging.
There was an teacher here that listened to the staff talking so passionately about our programme is absolutely amazing. So listen to them, because I had lots of things to say, and I thought I don't need to say a thing, I just need to read it. They are really are. But it is important, one of the things that they talked about there was the relevance. I think the relevance and the choice, the personalisation, all the design principles that come with it is very much evident in this programme, because you are making it relevant to the children, you are making it meaningful for them as well, so that when they actually go out there, they're understanding the problem, they're acting it out, they're modelling it, etc. But then they're putting it in and transferring it into true application. So it really works for them, and I think that's what makes them so inspired, because you talked about how do they do that. It's because they're also going away out to find out themselves. Because where do you possibly get a class, whole classes that are so interested in doing things like this? It's because of the context of what they're putting it into. And as I say, it's because it's so meaningful, which is the most important thing. So when you bring learning to life here, is what we're actually doing. It's bringing that learning to life. It's bringing the children the ability and the ownership of their projects. And even they talked about themselves about the teacher being a facilitator here. So they're facilitating the learning, they're bringing it out, but at the same time, there's the children that are really just pulling it all together and just running with it, and giving them that creativity, their values, etc. of that has really benefited our children and our community. And the last workshop, the last showcase that I watched last week there, just about to end of May, with my prayer, and the parents were absolutely blown away with what the children could do. But so the children were so proud of what they could do as well, because as I say, it was meaningful to them, and that's the most important. If they can take anything from it,
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Perhaps you would come to conference
Yeah.
and spend longer on this, because all of these things need to be followed through.
We can chat, we can chat.
Yes, and what's really
Who's
interesting,
ourselves?
the technical framework's so boring to look at,
Yes,
but it's
exactly.
all of that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, what you do is
We need to stop and move around, so we're running out of time.
Yes, it's all of that.
Thanks.